Hey guys, it's Herobrine Slayer here, and I'm going to be reading What's Wrong with Their Faces on the No Sleep blog website. I don't know how to start this. This is all very new to me. All I want to do is get my story out there before something happens. No one believes me. They all think I'm seeing things. But I know what I saw, and I know I am not crazy. This all started a few days ago, when I was home alone. It was approaching 11 at night. I was in my room watching Netflix. I spend most of the time in my room doing something, whether it's playing video games or watching TV. My room gave me comfort. It was my sanctuary. My mom and dad were visiting my mom's sister in a town an hour away. They made sure I was okay being home alone, and I insisted. I love staying home alone, even if I get scared really easily. I have two sisters. We all call them Jane and Alex. Jane is in Quebec with a few friends. She loves to travel and rarely could sit still. Alex loves to go out. She prefers clubs and parties. At that moment, I wasn't quite sure where Alex had been. Was almost never home. She was always out with friends and parties. That's where we were different. I sat in my room for a few hours watching my favorite show. I heard the door unlock and my dog started to go crazy. She's always like this, barking 24/7. She loves people and will jump and scream for a good 5 minutes when someone walks through the door. She ran out of my room and downstairs. I assume it was Alex coming home from her friend's house. I continued to watch my show until I went downstairs to get a bowl of cereal. I walked into the kitchen and got some Frosted Flakes. My house was being renovated at that time, which was probably the main reason my mom left. She hates being stressed out, but wanted a nicer house a lot more. My kitchen was open and led to the front hall and the family room. The family room currently has no furniture, as the carpet was being torn out and replaced with all hardwood in a few days. As I poured up my cereal, I could see someone out the corner of my eye. I looked, and I saw Alex digging in her purse for something by the stairs. That led to the basement. My dog, Abby, was sitting next to her. She was quiet, which was immediately off-putting. Alex hates Abby, but that doesn't stop her from screaming and jumping on her in excitement. But this time, she just sat there, staring at her. I paid no attention to it and got myself a spoon. "Where were you?" I asked curiously. "Out," she replied. At that point, wait, this was her usual answer of hers. "Out where?" "Just out." At that point, I assumed she was in a bitchy mood, and which she usually is. I walked towards the stairs that led to my bedroom. As I walked, I noticed Alex, who would slightly turn to the right so I could never actually see her face. At that moment, I paid no attention to that, but now I know exactly why she wouldn't face me. A few hours passed, and I was getting ready to go to sleep. My parents told me they were staying the night. I was drifting asleep. I heard Alex screaming. She was 2 floors below me, so I couldn't make out what she was saying, but she sounded scared. I ran to the floor below and got to the top of the basement stairs. There were no lights on, and it was pitch black. I yelled out, "What?" She usually called me down to kill a spider, or she heard a scary sound. She called me down one time because there was a bee in her room, which turned out to be a fly. "I hear something down here." She sounded terrified, which made me quite scared. I made my way downstairs and stopped at the foot of her bed. She was sitting with the blanket half on her, staring at me. Her face was hidden in the darkness, and I could only make out the shape of her head. It was hard to see down there, and I was looking around to what she may have been talking about. "Do you hear it?" she asked. We both sat still to listen to whatever she heard. I heard silence. I looked over at her and told her I didn't hear anything, but I could feel that something wasn't right. I felt like there was something else down here with us. She told me it was coming from the laundry room. I walked over and stood at the other end of the room. To my left was the furnace room, which was covered off by a sliding door. The door was also a mirror, but was slightly broken due to careless Alex. In front of me was my computer, which I mostly used for video games. To my right was the laundry room, the only source of light in the basement. I saw a light turn on behind me. I realized Alex, my sister, had turned one on. This made it seem less scary down there. I don't hear anything, I said. I looked back at her. She wasn't facing me anymore. She was facing the wall besides which was sort of creeped me out. Listen again. I stood there and noticed that a sound emerged from the silence. It sounded like a man quietly talking to himself. I couldn't make out what he was saying, but it creeped me out. It was coming from the furnace room, and I was too afraid to open it. At that moment, I pulled out my phone and turned on my flashlight app to see better. As I turned on the app, I noticed I had a text. I keep my phone on silent, so I assumed I got it while I was down here. I wasn't going to reply to whoever it was, but I was curious to what it said. I am always curious, but now I kind of wish I hadn't been curious at that moment. I scrolled down my taskbar and saw that it was a text from my sister, Alex. I was confused. Why would she text me? Maybe she texted me because she called for me. I, op- I opened the text and froze in fear. Coming home from Alexis. Can you make sure the door is unlocked? This had to be a message that I received late. My sister was behind me. I was sure of it. The second after I read the message, I got a call. Again. It was my sister. I looked up in the mirror. To my left, I noticed that Alex, or whoever was behind me, did not have a phone in her hand. She was sitting there, staring at me. As I answered the call, my mouth dropped. I am coming home. Can you please unlock the door? I forgot my key. It was my sister. She wasn't home. She was at her friend's house. I didn't say anything. At this point, the whisper from the furnace room started to get louder. I kept my sister on the phone. I never said anything, which made her angry. She kept asking if I was there. Alex, please come home, right now, I whispered. She hung up in frustration and I dropped my phone to my side. Who was it? The person behind me asked. I didn't answer. I knew whatever was behind me was not Alex. I didn't know what to do. And then I saw it. I saw whatever was behind me. I glanced in the mirror beside me, and I could see the person in the background. I quickly turned on the flashlight and pointed it straight at them. My eyes widened in fear. Whatever was sitting in my sister's bed, whatever was asking me for help, was not human. Every feature was right. The body, the hair, the clothes, everything but the face. The face was as if someone threw everything on. The eyes looked distorted, one being near the forehead, the other being much lower than that. The nose was tilted to the side, almost being sideways. The mouth was much larger than any human mouth, and it was smiling, but it wasn't a focused smile, but as if it was in a neutral state. I stared at that thing for a few seconds in fear. It knew I could see it, and it was angry. It screamed, making me cover my ears. I thought they were bleeding. The voice was piercing them. I fell to my knees. My vision became distorted. I looked up and saw that thing crawling away from me, and ran up the stairs. The voice from the furnace room stopped as soon as the thing was gone. I ran to the laundry room and hid behind the rack of clothes. I wasn't going to follow it, and I sure as hell wasn't going to hide in the furnace room. I called my sister, who had just came home, and told her to come downstairs. I was crying at this point, not believing in what I just saw. I told her what happened, and she asked to believe me. I don't know if it was because she could tell how scared I was, or because she believed me in fear, but she did, and I am glad she did. Please believe me, Reddit. I am terrified. Ever since I saw that thing, people haven't been looking at me. My mom came home, especially, and she hasn't looked me in the eye. I haven't seen her face. How am I supposed to know that it's her? How am I supposed to know I am safe? Okay, that is the end of update 1. I will give you the second part next episode. I'm gonna make this a playlist, and I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.